TDS's Hexcape event was not very good. Operation Ice was not very good. Ducky's Revenge was not very good. I was very cautious going into TDS's new Halloween event, Null and Void. Ever since this woman started showing up, events have felt really underwhelming and just haven't hit the same like they have in previous years. Would Null and Void break this curse and finally prove that TDS can still make good events? Well, actually yeah. In this video, I'll be reviewing everything about this event. The Knights, the Battle Pass, and the new tower. But before we begin, the TDS devs have kindly given me 10 premium Battle Pass codes to give away to you guys. Well, it's actually 9 now because I used one on myself. I've hidden 5 of these throughout the video. All you have to do is find a code and enter it into the code section in the game, so keep an eye out for those. As for the other 4, I'll explain those later in the video, so stay tuned and let's begin. In Night 1, Professor V and Nerd Duck build a machine to combine the God Cube shards for reasons. And surprisingly, it goes horribly wrong. Also, Scout has a bad dream, to which Professor V says, okay. It's a serviceable plot, but I swear TDS takes place in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. Is it really a good idea to do this freaky portal science when, oh, I don't know, you could try finding a cure? The map itself is a really nice looking industrial outpost, but why is it so big? It's got a fully built underground bunker you can explore, long mountainous roads, and an extra city. For a game that has ridiculous optimization issues, it's baffling to think that making the map 3 times the size it needs to be was a good idea. Maybe that extra time could have been used on something actually important. Speaking of the gameplay, it is actually really fun though. The enemies consist of null demons and corrupted versions of towers, all of which look really cool and are nice expansions on the evil tower concept used in Pizza Party. The Knight also introduces a new curse mechanic. Every few waves, you get given 3 random debuffs and you need to vote for the one you want. Whilst later on it starts to have issues. In Night 1 it works really well. It makes every game different and encourages replayability as you can try different curses to either challenge yourself or make it easier. It also adds another level of strategy to the event. You need quite a versatile loadout to make sure a certain curse doesn't make a tower irrelevant, which is a really nice touch. The final boss is the Null Commander, and I really like him. He looks great, and I like that his 3 attacks are direct contrast to the normal commanders, such as spawning APCs and shooting towers. He's not too difficult, but was really fun to fight. The music was also really nice. I don't love the boss theme, but the main song was great. It's really high energy and makes you hyped throughout the game. Once we beat the Null Commander, we meet the Riftwalker, who says, combining the shards is a bad idea. Maybe do something important like, I don't know, finding a cure. And then sends us into a portal, and oh my god, it's the narrator. We are so back this event's peak. Night 1 was a lot of fun. It was really polished, the enemies and the map were great, and the cutscenes were really cool. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. In Night 2, the characters fall through a portal into an unknown dimension we're not supposed to be in, where the boss sent his spawn of demons to attack us. Oh wait, that's the description for Hexcape Night 2 as well. I wish they could have been a bit more creative with the story for this night, and don't say, well last time the port malfunctioned, whereas this time the Riftwalker, it's the same story. This is made up for, however, by the return of the narrator. He was one of the best things about Luna Overture, and it's great to have him back. He's a lot of fun and really did make me laugh quite a few times throughout the event. The map quality is just as high as Night 1. It's meant to be some sort of interdimensional dumping ground, and it really sells that idea. There's a ton of Easter eggs and old models and enemies around the map, and as the game progresses, more objects crash through the map, like Sakaar and Thor Ragnarok. And also, it's actually reasonably sized, so good job. The main gimmick of this night is that there are blue crystals around the path that speed enemies up each time they walk over one. It's a cool idea, but the map's tiny and the boosts aren't really noticeable, so it has little influence on your strategy. Despite this, the gameplay was still really fun and engaging whilst also being balanced. It's a bit unfortunate that there are only 4 new enemies in this map, but they all look great and added a lot to the gameplay. My favourite was definitely the medic. She looked awesome and it was great how she could heal herself and other enemies. What I didn't like though was the final boss, the Null Guardian, which was just horrible. There are 2 factors that cause this boss to suck, both of which work well on their own, but when they're put together it just creates a mess. First, you have the Null Guardian himself, which has 700,000 HP, 2.2 speed, and can spawn 3 extra clones of himself, all of which had 25,000 health and aggro. So each spawn would give him an extra 75,000 health while he would quickly run across the map. Whilst on its own, that's not too difficult. The curses make it such a pain. They worked well on Night 1 because it was a forgiving map. A horrible curse would make the game harder, sure, but on Night 2, the curses will make or break the game. It's that tight. What this means is the final wave's outcome is very heavily reliant on RNG, which just really sucks. And it was only after the nerf, which took 4 days by the way, for me to be able to actually defeat it. And even then it was pretty close. So yeah, this boss sucks. With the Null Guardian defeated, the narrator begins to celebrate until he realizes we also survived, and then he starts to have a massive crash out.
You're lucky the Riftwalker didn't put a failsafe on his corpse so he can kill us himself!
Almost everything about Night 2 was perfect. If the Null Guardian was actually balanced and the story was a bit more original, it would be an easy 8 or 9 out of 10, but unfortunately that wasn't the case, so I have to give it a 7 out of 10. Found any codes yet? Keep looking as there's still some more to go. As well as the hunt, I'll be giving 2 codes away in my Discord server. Go to giveaways and click join, and then you're in. And whilst you're there, you can chat to myself and other fans. It's really cool and awesome and kind of dead at the moment, so please join. Stay tuned to find out how to get the final 2 codes, but for now, let's move on to Night 3. Whilst the other nights were good, this will be what makes or breaks the event. Will we have another Act 3 disaster, or would it actually deliver on our expectations? Well, yeah, it was awesome. Night 3 kicks off with the Scooby Gang crashing into a castle within the Null Zone, where the Riftwalker is battling the children of Exo. The Riftwalker is absolutely sliming these guys until the narrator helps gang up on him. From there, they reunite the God Cube in order to let Lord Exo possess the Riftwalker's body. What a cool plot. I feel like this night was really creative with this story, unlike the previous night, which was really just uninspired. So this change in narrative quality was a really nice change. The map is one of the few things I don't love. It looks fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it feels a bit small for a final night. Usually these finales have huge maps with multiple paths, but this is a little rectangle with a single path. The blue speed boosts are also present again, but are somehow even more pointless than before because they're all shoved at the back of the path. What I really liked was having models of the narrator, Riftwalker, and Cronus be actually in the map. It was a really nice touch and actually makes you feel immersed in the story and the stakes it has. As for the gameplay, it was brilliant. It introduces 7 new enemies which all have unique abilities. One of my favorites being the Null Accelerator, who can swap the location of 2 towers, forcing you to pay attention to your supports whilst focusing on other parts of the game. I do have to say though, I was pretty underwhelmed with how these Null enemies turned out. It's just personal preference, but they don't look that great, especially compared to previous nights. The biggest letdowns are probably Null Pursuit and Necromancer. Pursuit is just the default skin with skeletons inside, and whilst the Necromancer himself looks amazing, his skeletons are just the regular tower versions, which was a big shame. The mini-boss, Cronus, was definitely a huge highlight of the map. It's so cool how before he attacks, he jumps from his position and onto the path, which look really cool and further builds the immersion. He has quite a lot of abilities, but his 2 main gimmicks are slowing down time for everything besides himself and freezing towers. The time slow was such a cool idea and it was implemented really well. And the freeze abilities come from him using Krampus's staff from the 2023 Christmas event, which was a really clever detail and a nice throwback. And these 2 gimmicks make him a really unique and memorable boss who was really fun to fight. Before we get on to the final boss, I just want to say that I was so impressed with how well paced this map was. For the fact I had 30 waves, it only takes about 25 minutes to beat, which was really appreciated. As Night 3 of the Hexscape and Operation Night especially took forever to complete. After wave 29 with the transformation complete, Lord Exo takes over the Riftwalker's body for the final battle. The Riftwalker has a whopping 2.5 million health and is such a blast to play against. His main gimmick is his Lord Exo's rebirth ability, where Exo comes out of his body and shoots the base, halving your HP. The way you counter this is with the Star Cannon, which has fallen into the Null Zone. You have to spend money repairing the pieces and then collect batteries to fire it. And once you see Exo appear, you have to shoot him to cancel the attack. It's always nice to have an interactable mechanic to fight against the bosses, as it requires another level of engagement with the gameplay from the players. This tension only rises if you use the Fool Curse, as it makes you only have 1 HP, meaning 1 hit and it's game over. My only issue is there's no real strategy to rebuild the cannon, unlike in Hexscape Night 2. Because you get so much money on wave 30, you can at least just build it then and there, whereas the Hexscape was a proper juggling act, with actual consequences if you don't rebuild it by the final wave. Besides that, the gameplay was really fun though. The Riftwalker himself also looks amazing. I already really liked his normal design, but this purple corrupted version looks so cool. Once we defeat him, Exo realizes he cannot take over the Riftwalker's body, so takes over Cronus's body instead. He then kills the Riftwalker and takes the Dispatcher, whose first name is Jane now. Just as we're about to try and get her back, Professor V and Nerdduck activate a portal to save the rest of the towers, leaving Commander in distraught as the dimension starts to collapse. Holy peak. That final cutscene was done so well, and I'm really looking forward to see what happens next. The only thing that bums me out is that the Riftwalker died. He was so cool, and it's a shame we're never going to see him again. And the Commander's voice acting was actually incredible for this cutscene. Take a listen.
We need to go back! We need to go back right now!
What happened?
He has her! He has her.
Night 3 was awesome. The enemies for the most part were great, the cutscenes were phenomenal, and the boss was a blast with really impressive pacing. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Once you beat Night 3, you'll get the Warlock Tower, whose gimmick is that he has a laser for long distance firing and a sword that deals extra damage when up close. On its own, it's a really cool tower. He looks awesome and was executed really well, but can start to raise some eyebrows once you think more about it. My biggest issue is that he's literally just a pre-rework slasher. Did they seriously have to get rid of the one interesting thing about slasher just to reuse it on another tower? As well as this, it seems a bit odd that he's an incredibly powerful late game tower. Costing $72,000 to max, he has a total range DPS of 428 and a melee DPS of 559. I mean, come on, this is a bit ridiculous. He makes Brawler almost entirely irrelevant, who himself made Warden irrelevant. But at least the Brawler actually required a decent bit of work in hardcore, whereas this guy takes just over an hour over the 3 nights. I've always said having event DPS tower is a stupid idea, but this just takes it to a whole nother level. You can make him cost 4,000 gems and everyone would say that's fair, but no, you get him from an event. So he's broken, unbalanced, and uninspired. But on his own, he looks and plays really well. So I'll give him a 6.5 out of 10. I was fairly pleased with this event's Battle Pass. The thing I loved most was the reduction in currency from 27,000 to 21,000. I can't express how grateful I am for this change. 27,000 felt extremely dragged out and a bit scummy, in particular for Hexscape because of how little currency you gain per wave. So this is a very welcome change. I won't go into too much detail on my rankings for the skins, but I'll show them on screen and give you some information. My average ranking is 7 out of 10, the mode is 7.5, and the range is 6, which is pretty similar to the Hexscape. What I do really appreciate is that unlike last year, there's no clear intention to make the free skins trash, but I do feel like there could be more quality control on some of the skins. You're telling me this is a paid skin? Like, come on now. The most disappointing thing about this pass was definitely the Null skins. The Null enemies themselves were amazing, but these skins who were meant to be inspired by them were really underwhelming. Soldier is just the normal skin but purple, and although I do like Shotgunner's simplicity at earlier levels, it sort of just becomes a purple blob by the end, which doesn't look very good. What would have been a lot better is if they just reused the Null enemies and made them into skins. Null Commander, Absolute Cinema. Null Pyro, Absolute Cinema. Null Medic, yeah, you get the point. The only one of these skins I really like for the most part is Null Crow Boss. I think levels 0, 3, and 4 look insanely good, being a really nice and improved adaptation of his admittedly dull enemy counterpart. My only issue is that levels 1 and 2, he's just normal Crow Boss but purple, which was a bit weird. There were some really standout skins though, like the Dragon Pursuit and the Werewolf Commander, who just both look insanely good. Overall, I'll give this Battle Pass a 7.5 out of 10. The skins were mainly solid, but only a minority blew me away. But the grind is very reasonable, so I'd say completing it is a lot more worth it. I'd say overall though, this event was really good. Obviously there's a few issues, but in general though, it was really good and a major step up. The story was really good, the nights were fun, and the Battle Pass was still really good despite its flaws. I wouldn't say it was peak, but it was definitely a blast to play and I really enjoyed it. Overall, I'll give it an 8 out of 10, compared to my now amended score of 6 out of 10 for Hexscape. My highlight of this event was definitely the narrator. He genuinely was both really funny and charming, and added a lot of needed energy into these events. They sort of seem to foreshadow that the narrator will be the main villain of the Christmas event, which I hope they don't do. Just don't overuse him, please. He'll just get a bit boring and lame. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed hunting for those codes. They're all done now. And if you want to support the channel directly, as well as receiving exclusive perks like friending me on Roblox and accessing exclusive content, consider joining today. If you want to see my review of the Hexscape event, click this video here. And if you want to see some TDS YouTubers participate in Squid Game, click this video here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!